Hello, Denton. I'm Kim Phillips coming to you from the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. Welcome to Discover Denton. It's good to be back. I've been out of the picture for a little while, traveling a little bit, but I'm back and glad to have the show going again with a very special guest today. Jordan Malone. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jordan, but first let me remind you what our show is all about, and it's going to help connect why Jordan is here. Our show is all about promoting Denton's assets and the characters that make the world out there pay attention to our city. And having world changers on just about every corner is a more than viable attraction. And Jordan Malone is a two-time Olympian and was most recently in the 2014 Games, the Winter Games. And Jordan is here with us today. Welcome, Jordan.
How you doing? It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here. In fact, we were sitting here in the office just a few weeks ago and Jordan just popped in one afternoon, has his medals in his hands and just hanging out, talking to us, and we all got to touch the medals. And we're going to come back to the medals in a few minutes because there's something really cool Jordan's going to talk to us about his medals. But first, Jordan is a true Dentonite. Born and raised here, right?
Not born, but I got here as soon as I could.
Okay.
6 months old, Mom and I moved here.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I know, you can't blame me for that. I tried. Yeah.
Nature had different ideas.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. What's it like growing up in Denton? I mean, what was it like for you, and how did that one thing lead to another for you?
You know, it really does shape you. As an Olympian, more so than anybody else, you realize you're a product of your environment. And so going out into the rest of the world, and I've lived in Europe, I've spent time in Asia and all over the United States, and there's just, certain things I take for granted. One of the things my wife appreciates now that she's here, she's just like, everybody just talks to you and hugs you.
Where's she from?
And she's from Toronto.
Okay.
And, you think the Canadians are so nice, eh?
Yeah,
and,
but that's still far away from
Yeah,
here.
it's still not it's still not Texas. And she goes, everybody's just so nice here. They talk to you as if they've known you your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that says a lot about Denton in particular.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just mentioned that I was traveling recently and out on the West Coast. While people are nice there,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not the same kind of warmth you find here. And it's just like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And I totally do understand that. So the thing about Denton, though, is it's warm here most of the year, very moderate temperatures. How does a kid decide to be a speed skater in Denton, Texas?
First, I started off in inline, so on wheels. It's actually a bigger sport than both short track and long track speed skating on ice combined. It's in more countries, has more spectators, more participants, that sort of thing. So I started off on wheels, and actually in the rink here that used to be around, spinning wheels.
Oh, okay.
Daycare, Hidden Oaks Daycare, took me when I was 5 years old. Saw those kids flying by faster than I could ever imagine, and I'm like, I want to do that. And of course, my mom looks at me, and she raised me from the household of this silly idea of you could do whatever you want to do. And
I love that.
And she looks at me, and and I tell her I want to be a speed skater. And at first she chuckles, and she's like, "We'll see how long this will last." And here I am, 25 years later.
So was it an easy graduation from inline to ice?
Yeah, people would think, oh, you're a I was world champion, the world champion my senior year of high school in 2003. And you would think that I would just be able to put on ice skates and start competing. But I put on ice skates and I'm flopping all over. I look like a newborn deer. And that really the only things you bring over is the fact that you're an athlete, you know your body, and you have that commitment. You have that. You sit down and you're ready to go. There's no misconceptions. You're going to have to spend every single day for the next 10 years to figure this thing out. And
so where do you go for that?
I moved to L.A., actually. I had to go where the ice was, and believe it or not, there's a very good club out in L.A. There's a Dutch coach and a lot of decent skaters, and it ended up that 3 of the guys from my 2014 Olympic team had trained in L.A. around or at the same time.
Okay, well, that answers a big question of mine. I'm trying to picture where you're finding the ice puddles to learn to speed skate on.
Yeah, there was the Star Centers and things like that around when I was here, but there's just, you still need things like a coach and somebody who knows equipment and pads for that matter. We're going around at 40 miles an hour, and you're hitting a dead stop if you hit the walls. So
So did you transfer to ice knowing I'm going to the Olympics?
Yeah, when I moved over at 19, 20 years old, that's when I was like, I had watched Apollo in 2002, and I was like, I want to do that. I had unfinished business on inline, so I spent the next year or two trying to figure, accomplish those goals. I didn't want to leave that unfinished, or else I'd regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Then I moved over, and I was like, it's Olympics or bust, yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question about Olympians. A lot of people do perhaps misconceive where Olympians come from.
Oh, yeah.
One of the first Olympic things I think of is gymnastics, where little girls have grown up in these very expensive gymnastics schools, their entire lives. And people think, yeah, but only rich people, only very gifted people that came out of the womb with a somersault can really be an Olympian. But after getting to know you, I've learned that is truly a misconception.
Oh, more so than anything else. And there are a few that are like that. There are some athletes that are just naturally amazing. But it will not get you to that level just on ability alone. Even somebody like Apollo Ono, I'd say he's probably one of the most naturally gifted speed skaters on the planet. But he just works harder than anybody else. And so when you get there, you think it's just something where he shows up and does it. But he's there before everybody and he's there after everybody. So, in my case in particular, I carry around a message with me as well as, people think that Olympians are just some genetic anomaly that are born of a wealthy family and, they're destined for Olympic greatness their whole life. But the fact is most of them are like me. There are gymnasts that their parents have mortgaged their houses just to be able to pay for their costs. And I grew up in a single-parent household here in Denton, Texas. I'm 5'6", flat-footed with asthma. Does any of that sound Olympic to you?
It doesn't,
No.
actually.
But that's what it is. And the thing that you realize more than anything else is that as an Olympian, nothing will ever and nothing has ever been handed to you. That it's your will and passion to go out there and grab it, and for the reasons you do it, that's Olympic.
I love that's the thing I love the most about your story. I think is you're such visual proof that a person can do anything.
Yeah, I try to be that.
If they're willing to work at it.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues perfectly into talking a little bit about the foundation you're trying to get off the ground and your new Guinness World Record.
Yeah, so, most people start an interview. Hey, we'll see what you've been doing recently. I hear you've been going to school. Well, it's par usual. I'm going to school and trying to take on the world at the same time. So right now, I can't sit still for any amount of time. So, of course, in the meantime, over the summer, I started the groundworks on a foundation, and that's called the Shining Examples Foundation. And the idea is that after the Olympics, and mainly because I was so crowd supported and received so much positive feedback from my community and just even people I've never met before, I was determined to pay that forward. So I went out into about 34 different schools, or 34 different visits at schools, and talked to probably about 17,000 kids all over the nation.
That's
but
fantastic.
Most of them were here in North Texas. And, I'm sitting back thinking, why isn't this happening more often? And I talked to my teammates, and it's not that they're not wanting to do it. It's just that it's one of these three things that they can't get over. It's these hurdles. And one of the initial hurdles is, just having a medal doesn't make you a speaker. Just having that doesn't make you a role model. It makes you capable of being one. But past that, even if they do have a medal and they do have the ability to speak, you don't necessarily have the time to manage your efforts to give back and figure out how to even contact these venues or how to get them in contact with you. And then past that, many athletes live at or below the poverty line. So they think, a lot of people think that once you grab an Olympic medal, you can just sort of take that thing and slide it through the credit card slot to buy your groceries, or staple it to a college application and redeem your free scholarship. But the fact is most of us are fighting just to be able to pay the rent. So we have this incredible ability to give back and make a huge impact in our community, but it just doesn't always get there. So I want to help eliminate all that with those first two hurdles. And then beyond that, let's provide some encouragement. Olympians do really well with goals and going after something. So let's provide, encouragement and incentives, a pledge program, providing points that equal to scholarship dollars. And then you allow an athlete to go out and do a very hard job and a very extensive job that that they're going to have to learn, and that's going to be a great skill. But after that, you're allowing them to work towards and earn their college education, which hasn't been in place so far.
And still be a major influence.
Yeah, huge. You get these amazing skills that are just, articulation, presentation, the ability, character building, becoming a role model. There's real self-realization and all that. And I was able to really gain the values of that. I didn't charge a single school, but I really felt like it was one of the most rewarding times of my life, and that was because of all that. So not only do I want to share with the communities and with schools and charitable organizations of all this extreme potential for impact from these Olympic athletes, but I want these Olympic athletes to be able to share what I was able to experience by going to all these schools. And the fact is the easier you make it, the more it's going to happen. So if I can create something, the Shining Examples Foundation, which takes Olympians and just go fly, do good things.
It equips them to be able to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. And just takes all the legwork out, makes it as easy as possible, and even provides them something to work towards. It's going to happen more often. It's going to be a normal
and that involves
thing.
a team, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, it's a lot more than just an idea. In fact, you've got Pete Camp sitting here in our studio with us today. And Pete Camp, most of you in our listening audience will remember Pete from her many years in civic service and city council and mayor pro tem and many, many roles that she's played here for many years. And I was so happy when I found out that Pete and Jordan were working together. So welcome, Pete. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Kim. It truly is my pleasure.
Well, and if you wouldn't mind, just say a few words about why you decided to connect here. I mean, you're a person that's not bored.
No.
So.
No, not
if you're
at
bored,
all.
then you're boring. So Pete's not boring.
No, but I'm sitting here, of course, listening to you, Kim, who I've admired for such a long time, and Jordan. And quite frankly, I got involved. Jordan and I had made acquaintance when he came back, and I wanted to honor him at City Council, which we did. We did a proclamation for him and made it, Jordan Malone Day and everything. And I hadn't been around him until that night, and I was so impressed. I mean, I was just, he's so passionate and enthusiastic and such a class act.
Yeah, and humble, too.
There's
nothing big-headed about him.
Stop it.
Look at and that's an indication of the name of his foundation.
Yeah.
Shining Examples. He's not naming
is.
it after himself. He's naming it for the purpose that it is. And Jordan reached out to me, and I'm sitting there honestly thinking, why is everyone thinking of things for me to do now? I'm trying. Honestly, within 5 minutes, I was sold. I wanted to help him.
Yeah.
I wanted to help him realize his goals because it's about other people.
It is.
It's about other children and other young people, and not just Olympians, but what they can give back. It's about community. It's about team. And that's why I'm so impressed with his vision, and I want to help him in any way that I can.
Yeah, I love it. I agree with you 100%. And I really see this even beyond just kids and schools, but I am inspired by Jordan's story.
Absolutely.
Have been, from the beginning, but then after this medal that he just brought home from the 2014 games.
The only medal brought back by a Texan from the Sochi games.
There you go.
Right.
See, that's important. I mean, hey,
absolutely.
People out there in Denton listening to this show right now, that is no small deal to have world-impacting people like Jordan right here in Denton, from Denton. This is the stuff we're made of.
That's right.
Over and over again, I tell you.
He wants to make a difference in his community.
Yeah, and I love that. Now, you've got your medals here.
I do.
Which was so exciting when we got to hold them for the very first time. But there's something really special going on with these medals. Do you mind if we get to
grab them? And that's
I
part
love
of it.
the fact that he brings these. Even the first day he came by our office that day, just kind of randomly pops in, and he's got the medals in his pockets.
Yeah.
Now, is this a common thing? Do people just wander around with their and let me just tell you, I can't believe he wanders around with it very far. This thing weighs as much as my car, I think. It is really,
Well, and normally I keep it in a safe, especially when I had my bronze for that 4-year time in between. But after the games, you pretty much just travel around with it in your glove compartment or whatever. Because, if you show up to meet friends, and they brought new people, and of course they want to see your medal. So if you don't bring the medal everywhere you go, you're the jerk who didn't bring his medal. And so, but now, I mean, everybody is so standoffish about grabbing and really holding him, being a part of it. And there are some Olympians that are very obsessive about not letting people touch their medals and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's their own prerogative. But my particular view on it is that I didn't win these for myself, the United States of Jordan Malone. I won them for the United States of America, and more specifically North Texas and my hometown of Denton. So, yeah, so it's I've always said that if they're kept to myself, they're wasted. So I need to put them back in the hands of the people I've won them for. And that brings me to my particular efforts to go out and show what Shining Examples is all about, and in hopes of being able to show not just this community but the world that with community support and Olympic ambitions, we can accomplish something pretty amazing. I'm going to attempt to set a Guinness World Record, and that Guinness World Record is going to be that my medals, these two medals right there, become the most touched Olympic medals in history. Yeah. So I want to be able to, I want to be able to officially put them in the hands of at least 25,000 people. Mostly, I'm going to focus on kids in schools and go back through to the schools that I've already talked to. But it's not even just going to be something where I sit in a chair and 25,000 people roll by me. It's going to be something where I try to, make an impact. I either do a speech at a school and let the kids touch my medal afterwards, which is what I normally do. I speak for about 30 minutes and question and answers in that as well. And then I sit by the door, hold the medals out, and each kid gets to walk by and really feel the weight of them and touch them and see them up close. And it really solidifies everything that I just said. And that fact is that, as Olympians, we share our journey with the people who helped us.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that, though. I don't know that a lot of people think about that in any sport, be it professional sports, Olympians, even kids that are just enjoying select baseball or, the gymnastics that we mentioned before. I don't think people a lot of times realize the investment that's made in their lives as they go through their lives. And I think that's a lot of what you're doing. Where I am now took a lot of people, not just because I'm an Olympian. All of us have those people behind us wherever they are. And you're saying, hey.
And it took an incredible amount of work from the individual. I mean, we train 5 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week for 11 months out of the year, and I've been at that level for 15 years. But the fact is, I never would have gotten anywhere if it hadn't been for my mother, my wife, my friends along the way, my family along the way. And, even as down far, and not even down, I don't even mean the word down, but even as far-reaching as like the guy who opens the rink every morning. It's all these individual things that have allowed me to take that success and represent where I'm from on the biggest stage that I know of, and that's the Olympics. And so this, to me, I hold what that actually means to every person that it touches. I hold that inside of me. But the fact is that if I keep that medal to myself, what it actually represents gets wasted. And so I need to put that back in the hands of the people.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And what a great way to draw attention to purpose with the foundation and kind of the big picture of how it all comes together and all the different ways that it's touching people at different levels.
And the fact is that stuff just doesn't happen. Everybody sees it and they think it's great and they love to benefit from it, but not everybody likes to stand up and be a part of it or support it. And the fact is that I want to give back right now, but right now I'm doing it on a shoestring. I'm going to school full time. And, I've got to help pay for rent and stuff like that. First and foremost, I'm a husband. Second, I'm a student. And I'm a 4.0 engineering student. And I will keep it that way. And school and grades will come first. But I've made my schedule so that I can be able to donate my time. But even then, I was late coming here today because I have one car between me and my wife. And the fact is I had to drop her off at work. And I was late getting back here with traffic. So there's things that I need, like transportation. There's things that I need, like... to help supplement that time so that I'm not working a part-time job. And, there's Olympians. There's one of the Olympians that's in our foundation. I won't say any names, but because, we don't even have the money to file the paperwork to make it all official, to officially sign people.
Yeah.
But there's one of the guys, and he's an Olympian from 2010, has a bronze medal. And in the summers, he mows lawns, and in the rest of the year, he parks cars valet to be able to pay for rent and his Olympic dreams. A
Wow.
medalist, an Olympic medalist.
You know, and a lot of people just assume every Olympian does what professional football players do, which is either model for Nike
Or buy a car dealership.
or yes, or they stand there and you know they talk at the football games.
And you know, we're not a professional sport, and we
Yeah.
do have. Everybody expects, oh, Jordan Malone, you're an Olympian, must have endorsement deals, but there is a real 1% that happens, and those guys, they really do soak up the majority of the money that comes into the Olympics. But it doesn't make those athletes any more impactful than the other ones. So, you know, there's guys like me, and there's people that have won medals on TV, and then there's the Olympians that have gone into schools and looked a kid face in the face and said, you can do anything you want to do. And for me,
that's powerful.
For me, that's way more powerful.
Yeah.
And that's a value that we have. And that's what I want to change is I want to change the world's thought of, you know, just valuing an Olympian by the medals around their necks. I'd rather change it to let's see what they do with them.
Yeah, I love that. Now tell people where they can go to find out more about your dream of what you're doing with the foundation.
So right now I'm trying to raise money for both my world record attempt and the initial startup costs of the foundation at gofundme.com/shining examples. So that's gofundme, GOFUNDME.com/shining examples, plural.
Okay, and we'll have that information as well, and we'll put it on dentonradio.com with the show, so you can look again and check it out and get involved in this stellar purpose alongside
right
this
here.
stellar example. And it starts right here. It starts with each one of us, and we're so proud of you, Jordan, and thanks for being here today. Thanks for being here, Pete, and for joining
you,
into
Kim.
this.
Absolutely.
Having influencers like Pete in your court, I mean, you know, it takes the whole community to make it work. So we really appreciate that. And a champion inspiring champions. That's what I wrote in my notes, and that's so true. So we've got the website. A couple of things to keep in mind. We got Blues Fest coming up this weekend, so put that on your calendars. Get out and check that out. Also, Oaktopia is this weekend, so they're going to be going on simultaneously. We have Blues Fest coming up this weekend. That's going to be at the Quakertown Park and Civic Center. And we also have Oaktopia, which will be going on downtown, music event, and UNT will be at home again. So Louisiana Tech plays. So that's what's going on. Thanks again to Jordan and Pete for being here today. We'll see you next time on Discover Denton.